program. I am Jennifer Antiporta, Certification Manager at CSI. I will be moderating today's webinar. Today's program, titled CCPR 201, is presented by TJ Gottwald. But first, a few special remarks from Ray Coulomb, Managing Director at SecuritySpecifiers.com.
Hello, everybody. Again, it's Ray Coulomb. I founded SecuritySpecifiers.com roughly 2 years ago to enhance the ability of manufacturers in particular to interact with those who design security systems. One thing that I interact with a lot are product specifications. I read them, I review them, I write them, and many of you may be familiar with the term CSI as almost a type of spec. And as I got more and more down the spec trail, I pursued a relationship with CSI, joined CSI and received a design certificate, and realized that CSI is much more than a format for specs. It's an organization of members that encompass a body of knowledge. It's a series of certifications and qualifications and a lot of good resource material. That led me to get the Construction Document Technology Certificate, or CDT, and which relies on the Project Delivery Practice Guide. If you do nothing else after this webinar, you might find on the CSI website the Project Delivery Practice Guide. It's a great resource. But beyond that, the CCPR is a follow-on credential specifically oriented towards manufacturers, and one that is not terribly well known in many quarters of the security industry. So to that end, CIA and CSI have gotten together to present you this webinar on the CCPR, tell you a bit about the qualification and the good that it will do you. So with that, I'm going to step back, turn it over to Jen, and I'm sure you're in for a great next hour. Thank you.
Thank you. A little bit about our presenter, TJ. AHC, CDC, CSI, CCPR is a specification writer and specification manager for Ingersoll Rand Security Technologies, covering the Southeast U.S. TJ has 38 years of experience in the construction products industry and holds several certifications outside of CSI as well. He has authored numerous articles for industry publications, including Doors and Hardware Magazine and the Construction Specifier, and is a long-standing supporter of continuing education and lifelong learning. A few initial notes about today's webinar. You may have noticed that your phone lines have been muted. This is simply to eliminate background noise during the session. However, your participation during the webinar is definitely encouraged. If you have a question, please type it in the question and answer toolbox on your screen. Questions will be addressed at specific intervals and at the end of the presentation. Also, we realize many of you may be listening through a speakerphone today. You may press *4 on your phone to increase the volume if you have any difficulty hearing during the session. I will now turn it over to TJ.
Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, Ray. It was actually a very good introduction that Ray gave regarding the reason behind CCPR and why joint efforts between our associations are really, really important. CSI has been involved in construction specifications and construction documentation for well over 50 years, and this is one of the best programs that, as a product representative, that I've ever seen to educate and certify you for product representation. Being in the security industry directly / indirectly for a long time now, writing hardware specifications for architects, I found this program was absolutely invaluable in terms of gaining the knowledge that I need to get in front of architects and to write specifications for them. And that's true of the security industry as well. In fact, I'm currently seeking my PSP certification through ASIS, so that's an important thing. Let's get right into it. First of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what exactly is the CCPR, who should take it, what are the benefits of the CCPR certification program, what are the requirements to take the exam, what is the format, what are the resources available in preparing and studying for the exam, and how do you register for it. Okay. CCPR candidates demonstrate advanced knowledge in a lot of different areas, specifically construction product representation and how you represent a product to the design community. Also in the preparation of construction documents and understanding how those construction documents interface with the contract documents and how it all binds together to be the complete construction documents, and just how the process works of how you get specified and why. Also in terms of use of construction documents, how are they utilized in the process, and just the entire construction process. During this webinar today, we're going to give several polls, so you'll have opportunities for your input. First poll is, are you attending today's webinar as an individual or as a group? And we'll give you some time. The poll is open right now. Is an individual, group of 2 people, group of 3 to 5, group of 5 to 10, or group of 10 or more people? All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, moving along. CSI certification website. This is probably the #1 resource that you have for information about certification programs from CSI. As you can see here, CCPR you can find on the upper right-hand corner of the CSI certification website. If you go to csi.net, you will have access to a lot of information, but look under certification. That would be the first thing you want to click on. And under certification, if you want to learn about the CCPR, over on the right side you can see the various certification programs. CDT, which is a certificate program, it's a construction documents technologist and is a prerequisite for the 3 certification programs, the advanced certifications from CSI. And that is CCCA, which is Certified Construction Contract Administrator, CCS, which is Certified Construction Specifier, and CCPR, which we're talking about today, the Certified Construction Product Representative program. And you can notice under quick tasks underneath that you can register for the exam on the site, you can download the exam form, you can download any one of the number of exam forms, and also cancellation for the exam, bulletins, frequently asked questions, all kinds of information there. The exams this fall are actually being offered this month between October 1st and October 27th. The next set of exams will be taking place in the spring. So this basically has all the information you need right on the website, which is a fantastic resource again. The practice guides are available there. So let's back up a second and ask, why would you want to become a CCPR? And really it becomes about industry knowledge and your ability to interface with design professionals. Obviously, if you have more knowledge about the process and the construction process, how you get approved, how your products can be included in the specifications, why you would want to be included in the specifications up front as opposed to submitting for substitution after the fact. Both of those processes are part of the entire construction process and are really important to understand how that works. That's what really being a CCPR and going through the certification process can really teach you. It doesn't only teach construction documents and the contract documents, but also teaches you about how you in your role for whatever company you work for, whether you're a security consultant or a product representative, but how do you go about interfacing with that architect to make sure that your products and your services are specified properly. So some other benefits of passing the exam. One is it's a certification. This is not just a certificate that you get or anything. This is a professional certification and entails you also including the CCPR designation initials behind your name. So as I said, CDT is a prerequisite for the 3 other advanced certification programs offered by CSI. CDT is a certificate program, whereas the CCS, CCCA, and CCPR are certifications, professional certifications. So what is the format of the CCPR exam? It is 200 questions. 4 hours are allotted to answer the questions, and you will find that you will use all 4 hours of the exam. It's organized by study unit areas. 5% is focused on project delivery. 10% is on design. 30% is on construction documents. 30% on procurement. 20% on construction, and 5% on facility management. So it covers a wide variety, all of these things involved in the construction process and construction documents. Those are the focus areas and how much they're weighted. And my suggestion to people looking at taking the CCPR exam is to study approximately those same ratios like that. So spend 30% of your time on construction documents and 30% on procurement and 5% on project delivery, because those are the things that are going to be focused on in the exam. The study guide has detailed information on each study unit area. The study guide is available once you register for the exam. I believe it's free of charge once you've registered for the exam. And that study guide is very, very helpful. It has sample questions, a lot of information about what exactly the source material is that you'll be studying to pass the exam. And it provides just a wealth of information to really help you. Very important to study this. One of the things I also say is one of the biggest factors in passing the CCPR exam is not just studying the study guide and the source materials extensively over time, but also local CSI chapters offer study programs to help pass this exam, and the CDT as well. And I highly encourage your participation in those. It probably is, well, it definitely is the #1 factor in people passing or not passing the exam, is their ability to participate in local study groups. So are there any questions so far?
No questions so far, but just to rephrase, the CSI website is csinet.org.
I'm sorry, you're right. Sorry about
no
that.
problem.
csinet.org, right.
Yes.
Okay, time for another poll. Poll 2. How did you learn that the CCPR even exists? Was it through a local CSI chapter, the Specifier magazine, CSI website, which again is csinet.org, through somebody at your company, or was it through another CSI member? Go ahead and enter your answer. Okay. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about who is a CCPR. CCPR is not just somebody who is a product representative, although that's in the name of the certification. CCPR can actually encompass a lot of different walks of life, if you will, and a lot of different roles within a company. CCPR is a person who successfully completed the CDT exam, which is a prerequisite, as we mentioned, and the CCPR examinations, and has the required experience, demonstrated knowledge and ability in construction product representation, and in using and advising in the preparation of construction documents as recommended by CSI. Now, as much as I don't like reading slides, that one really deserves reading, because it really has to do specifically with the knowledge that you gain and your ability to not only represent construction products, but also in the preparation of construction documents, which many of you are involved in interpreting the documents or authoring them, and that's a real important part of this. So, in speaking of who takes the CCPR exam and who is a CCPR, let's pull you real briefly right now. Is who are you taking or listening to this webinar today? Are you owners, designers, contractors, suppliers, or manufacturers and manufacturers reps? Go ahead and enter your answers. All right. Everybody in? Great, thank you. CCPR certification program can really help you. In my opinion, it really does empower you with the understanding of the whole construction process and the body of knowledge necessary to do your job effectively. By gaining the CCPR certification, it raises your confidence level, obviously, and it's not just about having initials behind your name. It's about the knowledge that you gain through the process. I found that was very valuable, even in the CDT program, which is, again, a prerequisite for the CCPR. And it definitely differentiates and sets you apart from all your competitors. We all try ways in our businesses, I know I certainly do, to try to differentiate yourself from your competitors, and that's a great way to do it is through certification. By promoting CSI certification in your firm, you can empower your employees with understanding of the profession and body of knowledge. Obviously, your clients, the people who you serve, will understand the value of that confidence gained by knowing they're working with a certified individual. And again, I mentioned the differentiation factor is setting yourself apart from your competitors. Obviously, loyalty and setting benchmarking for hiring and promotions. I know many people within the construction industry and the design industry who actually will not let anybody, at least product reps, write their hardware specifications unless they're a CCPR. And that's just in my world. In most of the designers' world, when it comes to trusting somebody with your specifications or trusting them to write specifications for them, they look for that certification to know that that person has a base level of ability and knowledge to write specifications. Obviously, more efficient and ethical productivity. There's an understanding that when you've passed the CCPR that you have a dramatic different level of knowledge than somebody who has not gone through the program. Also, as a CCPR, you'll be listed in the CSI certificates directory, which is really valuable because a lot of design professionals I know, when they're looking for product knowledge, whether it's about glass or security or door hardware or roofing, they will go into the certificates directory to find somebody local to them that has been certified so that they know they have a trust level there. So that's a great resource through CSI. This is a great testimonial from a friend of mine, Lisa Britton, actually president of Alpar Architectural Products in Minneapolis. She says, when I look for product reps, I seek firms with CCPRs first. CCPRs understand the construction process and the needs of all the players on the project team. They're also more likely to be active in their local CSI chapters and connected with the specifiers that we need to reach. So that's just one example of a leader in a company who's looking specifically for CCPRs when they're looking for product reps. Any other questions so far?
There are no questions at this moment.
Oh, well, we must be covering it well. Time for poll number 4. What benefit is driving you to consider taking the CCPR exam? Is it compliance with manager or company requirements, an increased ability to do a better job, establishing professional credentials, achieving industry recognition, or personal enrichment? For many people, it's a combination of those. All right. Does everybody have time to enter their answers?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. What are the requirements to take the exam? Well, obviously, registering for the exam and paying the fee. Membership in CSI is not required, but it is encouraged. As I said, CSI is a great resource for not only networking with industry professionals, which we all try to do, but the local chapter resources available to you to prepare for the CCPR exam are invaluable. Also, obviously, as we mentioned a couple times before, you have to pass the CDT exam first. Candidates are required to have 2 years of experience in the representation of construction products or services, exclusive of academic preparation. It has to be attested to on a company letterhead. So we look for that. And documents to help you prepare for the CCPR. These are the source documents that the CCPR exam is developed upon. And they are the Project Resource Manual, or PRM, from CSI, Master Format, 2010 edition, Uniformat, 2010 edition, Section Format, and Page Format. And for many of you that may not know what those Master Format, Uniformat, and those various formats are, those are basically what CSI has been founded upon and has developed over the years. Master Format has to do with all of the various divisions and sections and numbering system that is in place for construction documents. And Section Format actually deals with the format of each and every section within that Master Format, and Page Format has to do with the format on that page. So has a lot to do with construction documents from that aspect. Also, construction, the CCPR program is based on the general conditions of the contract, AIA A201 or EJCDC C700. And these are conditions of the contract between the owner and the contractor. So, how do you get the CSI Project Resource Manual? You can either visit the CSI store at www.csinet.org/PRM, and pricing is $236 for members, $295 for non-members. It's also available, I believe, directly from CSI through the mail, correct, Jennifer?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, how do you find out what you need to know for the exam? Well, obviously, we mentioned self-study, online study tools. There's quite a bit available through the CSI website again. CSI Academies, which are programs put together by CSI. I believe we had one in the fall, Jennifer? I know we had one in the spring, in April.
Yes, the fall exam window. Or, I'm sorry, say that again.
Well, we had one in the spring that was in April. I think it was before the spring exams. And,
oh, the academy, yes.
The academies, yes.
Mm-hmm. There will be another one, I believe. I'm getting the master specifiers retreat mixed up, but there is another one, and I can provide that information to Ray, and he can distribute that to the participants.
CSI Academies is really great, and I believe they're broken out by whether you are a specifier or a product representative or a contract administrator, and have classes. It is not solely designed to prepare you. It's not a study course for the CCPR, but much of the material that's covered in the CSI Academies is on the exam as well, so it does help. And obviously, I think the best are the chapter study programs and groups. Many chapters offer these, not all do, but many of the chapters do offer them. And the more difficult thing is that many of the chapters will offer a CDT preparation course, because the CDT obviously, as a prerequisite for all three of the CSI certification exams, is much more popular. But each of the certification exams, when you are up to that level and are taking one of those three, specifically studying for one of those three becomes a little bit more difficult because the group within any one chapter is much, much smaller.
In TJ's, just briefly, the CSI Academies, it's actually February 7th to the 9th in Charlotte, North Carolina. And if they visit the website, you'll see the link that provides all the information.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the study guide provides a lot of suggestions on preparing for the exam, and this is an excerpt directly out of the fall 2012 CCPR study guide, and talks specifically about the things that you need to do to pass the exam. And some of these are self-evident, things like begin preparing as soon as possible, and eat before you show up at the exam site, get plenty of rest the night before. I mean, just basic exam passing things, but also talks about the things that you need to be studying during that time. I suggest at least 3 or 4 months to study before the exam. So every candidate needs a self-study exam or a plan before you begin. And the free study guide is probably the best resource that you have to help you prepare for that. And it's available at this website. I'm going to give just a couple of seconds if somebody wanted to jot that down, but I believe it's available on the CSINet.org site. You can find it through the certification and then CCPR links. So, again, ask yourself these questions to ask yourself whether you're ready for the exam or not. Do you have access to the PRM and the current editions of the other publications we mentioned, like AIA 201? Do you thoroughly understand them? That's very important. Do you use or are you thoroughly familiar with listed current editions of either AIA or EJCDC general conditions of contract? If the answer is no, are you willing to study the materials over several months? And are you willing to attend a series of CSI chapter-sponsored study groups extending over several weeks if available? Many of the study groups will break up over, say, an 8-week period of time, say on Wednesday nights between 6 and 8 or something like that. And they vary by chapter, so check with your local CSI chapter. And if you're looking for a local CSI chapter, again, the CSI website is a great resource for that. Go to the website and just find the local chapter is what it's called. And I encourage you all, to, if you're going to study for the CCPR, reach out to others as you study. There's actually an exam prep web page, and you can see the URL there on the screen. And again, reach out to others in your community. The local community is fantastic, but now with social media the way that it is, there's all kinds of chats and forums available to ask questions as you go through your study, and it's very, very helpful. So you can even ask CSI a question online if you have a specific question during the whole study program. There's also online courses focused on general conditions. Because general conditions of the contract are an integral part of the exam, there's a company by the name of Spec Guy that offers a walk through the AIA 201 course right online. And it's available at specguide.com/webinars/A201 webinar. And it's actually 4 90-minute recorded sessions with slides, and it costs $100 to go through. But again, there's a lot of resources out there available to you to help prepare you for the exam. And this is talking, there's the dates, February 7th and 9th. That was this spring. I believe the next one is next spring in Charlotte again, Jennifer?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, fantastic. And again, another great resource. I do want to remind people this is not specifically a CCPR exam preparation class, but it does cover many of the materials that product representation does involve. These are some of the things, the target key issues that product representatives face, and these are things that the academies actually target. So whether it's using general conditions in Division I to the product rep's benefit, or helping design professionals make sustainable choices, or 11th hour bidding, something we're all familiar with, and you know, just basically how can I get my product specified? And in the case of many security professionals, it's a matter of how do I develop a relationship with the architect so that I'm the person they call when they need security consulting. Kind of important. So very, very helpful. I strongly encourage participation in the CSI academies. And again, this is just reiterating the chapter study programs and groups. And there's some examples of some of the hours for CCPR study programs. Sometimes if you get involved in your local CSI chapter, you can contact the president and say, well, do you have a program in place? And if they say no, if you can get a few people together locally, you can put one together yourself. Just getting together with other people to study for the exam, I found this very, very helpful. And again, you can get more information and find out who and where your local chapter is on csinet.org. So CSI has materials for chapter study programs, so if your chapter does not have a study program available, you can find materials right here on the website.
And can I cut in real quick, TJ?
Absolutely.
Sure. And as many of you guys are interested in CCPR, obviously the CDT is a prerequisite. And for that exam, we do have the project delivery practice guide that we sell on the CSI store. So that is the resource material you would need for the CDT prior to pursuing the CCPR.
Right. And I think you'll find that most CSI chapters, if they have any study programs at all, they'll have a CDT study program. For example, when I was going for my CCPR, the local chapter had a CDT study program, but did not have one specifically for CCPR. So I retook the study program for the CDT and focused myself on my own time on the resource materials I needed for the CCPR exam. But it was good just to sit down and go through that material because much of what's on the CDT exam is also included in the CCPR. It's just expanded upon in that. Any other questions so far?
Yes, we do have one question. As a designer, I would never represent a single product. So how would a designer ever be qualified to get the certification? Also, specifications have multiple products, so why would we use someone from a manufacturer to write a spec?
Well, I can answer I'll answer the second one first. Why would you use a manufacturer's rep to help you with the spec? Well, I'll use door hardware as a great example because that not only is that the world I know, but I know that's one of the few sections in a specification that architects are not qualified to write. They're absolutely not. There are so many changes in building codes and in product configurations and in new technologies and security electronic hardware out there that there's no possible way an architect can keep up on all that. In the door and hardware industry, we have a hard enough time keeping up with it ourselves. So there's an example of where CSI is very valuable because as a designer, you have to rely on other people to help you, whether it's for roofing specifications or hardware specifications or something that requires a lot of technical knowledge, is you have to have a go-to person that can help you with that. Now, most of the people in my industry that a designer can go to help with those specifications are employed by one of the manufacturers. That's just the way it is. So having that person write specifications, all you have to do is tell that person, look, I need 3 competitive manufacturers in my specifications, and tell them to include that. And we do that, in my industry anyway. I think you'd be very hard pressed to find a product representative in any industry that when you tell them I need an open fair specification is not going to provide one, especially if they're a CSI member, because that's basically how they do it. The first part of the question again, Jennifer, was?
How would a designer ever be qualified to get this certification?
Oh, I think actually designers are very uniquely qualified to earn that certification. They understand construction documents as part of their business. And basically, if you have the experience with construction documents and understand the construction process, going through this certification program will teach you a lot about specifying and how products get specified, why they get specified, and the relationship between a product representative and a designer that's very, very valuable. I mean, that's a real benefit to a designer, is that entire relationship. So to me, I think this program could be incredibly beneficial to any specifier or designer. Hope that answered your question.
Okay.
Let's take a quick poll. How do you plan to prepare for the CCPR? Will it be through online training, chapter study programs and groups, or on your own? Okay. Thank you for your input. The CCPR exam costs and deadlines. For spring 2013, the early bird registration is from December 3rd, which is coming up in a little over a month, to January 31st, 2013. Final registration deadline is February 28th. And those are the costs, $280 for CSI members and $415 for non-members. That's the exam deadlines. Now, after the early bird registration, it goes up to $345 and $480 respectively. So highly encourage you to hit the early bird registration before January 31st. And again, you can register directly on csinet.org. When can you take the exam locally? The CCPR exam is actually given nationally throughout North America at Prometric test centers. Now, Prometric test centers are located in just about every area of the country. I think my Prometric test center here in Greensboro is about 15 minutes from my house, so close by. Spring, the exam dates again are April 1 to the 27th. So if you're registering for the exam before that end of January deadline, that gives you approximately 3 months to prepare, 3 to 4 months to prepare, which is, I think, a good period of time. The open registration, it opens on December 3rd. And again, we mentioned the early bird registration on January 31st and final registration deadline on February 28th. Now, this will also be offered again in the fall, and exam dates are September 30th to October 26th. And registration for that will open on June 3rd with an early bird registration deadline of July 31st. Now, if you want to find out how close the Prometric test centers near you is, you can check out prometric.com/CSI. You can find the nearest test center. Now, once you register, CSI will send you an ATT, they call it, an authorization to test, and that includes your national ID number. So then with that number, you contact Prometric and schedule your test time. So anytime within that month of April, you can schedule the exam for. I think I scheduled mine for early in that time period just because I wanted to get it over with, I think. But that's what you use that exam national ID number for. Any questions about that, about the actual mechanics of preparing for and signing up for and registering for the exam?
No questions at this time.
Okay. So, quick question. When are you planning to take the CCPR exam? This spring, during the month of April at a Prometric Test Center, or in the fall at a Prometric Test Center? Okay. Thank you. So in summary, we've talked a little bit about what the CCPR program is. It's a certification program offered through CSI. Anybody from designers to contractors to subcontractors to material suppliers should take the CCPR exam. The benefits of CCPR is obviously having the knowledge and the ability to interpret construction documents, author construction documents, and understand how to get specified. And what are the requirements to take the CCPR exam? We talked about those. And the format of the exam, 4-hour exam, 200 questions. And the resources for the exam and preparing and studying for it, and how to register for it. Is there anything we missed there? I don't think so. I think
No.
covered pretty well. So if you have more questions, feel free to call me. My number's on the screen. The coordinator of CSI Professional Development, Deborah Tyler, is available. Jennifer, who's on with us today, is also available. She's manager of CSI Certification. And Erica Smedley-Cox is also available. So any one of those contact people you see on your screen there are available to answer questions about the CCPR. Obviously, well, I keep saying obviously, it's not so obvious, but CSI membership is something that I highly encourage everyone to do and get involved in CSI, because CSI really touches every member of the construction team, whether it's contractors, developers, design professionals, suppliers, manufacturers, consultants. Everybody in the entire construction process benefits from CSI membership, and it's really the only organization that reaches across all the various industries. It's not just specific to one product or specific to one industry like the security industry, but it stretches across all of those, because security people need to interface with others in the construction process and the design process, and that's where CSI can help you. I found personally it to be the most advantageous organization for me to belong to, because I network with other professionals in the construction industry, and more often than not, they end up becoming my clients. So I highly encourage that. I want to thank everybody today for their participation, and hope that you all gained valuable knowledge and learned from this. And if you have any questions, again, please contact CSI. Thank you.
Thank you, TJ, for a great presentation, and thanks to our participants for your support of this webinar in CSI. We hope today's presentation provided useful information. Have a great day.